Hi, I'm Tim from Tower Systems. I've got Michael Mackey here with me today. Michael's one of our installation team, and today we're just going to have a bit of a chat about the functionality we offer to news agents, and also the process we go through with helping news agents come on board with our software. So yeah, thanks for jumping in, Michael.
No problem.
Really good to have your knowledge in this space because historically, I think. I'm just, kind of working through the timeline, which it's a few years back, but were you initially your business or you worked in a news agency that was a family business, switched from another system to us? Were
Yep.
you working for Tower at that point, or were you working in store at that point?
No, so there's it's actually a really tight timeline there. Uh, I joined Tower I've started working for Tower 4 days before the switchover. So I stepped out of the business and started working for Tower, not really knowing how the software worked completely. And 4 days later, the business was having it installed.
Yeah.
So I wasn't actually involved in the changeover for my business, but of course, when they needed help or understanding with something, because I'm the person that used to work there, they would call me and go, "What about this?" And I go, "I don't know yet, but let me learn and let me come and explain that to you." Because yeah, it's understanding the customer and speaking the language they spoke was what they were looking for
Yeah.
in that sort of conversation text. So yeah, it was a hard and fast learning experience for both me and my family.
And look, looking back, a great way to do it as well, because you've got your own data to work with, your own,
Yeah.
process, how their system worked
Mm.
previously, and then yeah, guide them through the changeover process.
Yeah, like that. That's one of the challenges with switching over from any business is understanding that business's processes and then translating that into the language that we use here at Tower. One business might call runs meaning subagents, but other businesses call subagents subagents. So just understanding terminology and getting onto the same level is very important.
And here we are many years later, and you've
Many.
done, I would assume, across all industries, it would be well into the hundreds of installations. But even just within news agencies, I would say you're pretty close to 100, maybe
Yeah,
even more installs.
I'd say so too. Yeah, I wish I've kept track, but it's very hard to keep track of how many you've done. I it's it just blurs together at the moment.
Yeah,
But yeah, installs we're counting well into the hundreds,
yeah.
well into. News agencies definitely getting close to 100.
Yeah. So look, let's jump into it. So what I'll do, I'll share my screen and we'll just run through a couple of the key features that our software delivers to news agents to help them run their business.
Yep.
So if I share my screen here, you can see that one.
I can now.
Yeah, yeah. So, what we have here, this is essentially your main dashboard. Now, when we do an installation, you assist the customer with customizing this to suit what features and functions they need. So,
Yep.
if they did have home deliveries, you're obviously setting up those kind of shortcuts for them.
Yep.
If they want things like zero integration, Shopify integration, you're tailoring this screen to have quick access to those facilities.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, to make it as easy and fast for you to use throughout your daily process, the main screen is customized to work for you.
Yeah, yeah. So look, I mean, I don't want to do a full kind of generic run through on how it all works, but I guess to put you on the spot a little bit, are there any kind of key areas of the system that you're finding news agents are loving about our software? Anything specific you'd want to talk about within the software?
That's a very good on the spot question.
Well, actually, what I can do, I'll give you a minute to think about it.
Yeah.
And one thing I would say that, from the sales perspective and, what we show to news agencies in the software, one thing that's really been kicking goals lately is all of the AI tools. The
Yep.
fact that you go to add a product in, you can just jump into the stock screen and then you can add it, scan its barcode. It'll search an online database of, I think it's getting close to 2 billion products. It'll search that database, and a lot of the time it'll populate the description, the image, and a lot of that extra information for them.
Yeah.
And further to that, on the AI tools, when you go to receive stock, obviously we've got in the news agency space a lot of integrations with suppliers for things like arriving invoices from GNS, all the magazine companies through XchangeIT, greeting cards. There's all EDI files for them, so you don't need to sit there and key that information in manually.
That's right.
But one of our latest tools, and I'm sure you're seeing this with installs, AI import. You can jump in here and select a PDF or a CSV file, and retailer will actually upload that to AI and pull it back in a format that it understands. So
Yep.
bringing that data in, I'm guessing you've seen this, an invoice
I
with 100 items on it. They're loading that in minutes rather
That's right.
than hours.
Yep. So even in the non-news agency world, this works perfectly. I had a brand new install, and normally when we go through receiving stock, I always want to teach people, let's do it manually first, one line at a time. So we learn that process. We did that for 5 items. He's like, right, let's do an AI. And I went, okay, here we go. Loaded a 276 item invoice, and we were analyzing it, checking what was wrong with it, fixing it, and then it was done. So we loaded 276 brand new items into his system within 10 minutes.
It's phenomenal. Like it's made such a massive difference to the time it takes to process data in. And I thinking of the actual installation process for these businesses. I'm guessing that's a pretty big time saver to help them get their data set up in the first place as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So this was a business starting with no data. So loading 276 items from a PDF was just amazing for him.
Yeah.
And yeah, as you can see with on screen, that's exactly, we're going through the exact same experience. On that favorite feature that you did mention, when we developed this originally, it was only doing PDFs. We only introduced CSVs in the last option, CSVs or Excel. So you can do both CSVs and Excel in here. And that is probably my new favorite function. I get so excited when I tell a customer, check this out, because when you load a CSV, you can play with the format and put formulas into the spreadsheet here rather than having to edit it outside of retailer and then analyze it so it picks up data better.
Yeah,
So
couldn't agree
it's
more.
oh, it's one of my favorites. Seriously, I get oh, it's
And
good.
and just I guess to highlight it, just while we've been speaking, I've loaded this file in. So here's the PDF version. It shows me the preview on the left there.
Yep.
I analyzed it, and this is the data that it's pulled back ready to load in. So yeah, a really, really, quick and easy tool to use.
Yeah. So if we were to describe it, I'd analyze that information, make sure the total's right. There's a freight line on the bottom, which we delete because the freight's gone to the top. So it just takes a little bit of analytics and then filling in some department categories, double checking the values and hitting create items and import file, and away it goes. It's
Yeah,
done.
yeah, a
You,
great new
you,
tool.
you, you could be done within 30 seconds from here.
Yeah. Another feature that, and we're kind of sidestepping a little bit here, but another feature that I've found is massive with news agents lately, and this kind of comes back to how some of these businesses are diversifying,
Mm.
and that's the e-commerce integration. So a lot of news agents now are integrating the point of sale with things like Shopify, so that as you add products into retailer, you can simply check a box and it'll send all of the description, images, extra text, all of that will flow through to Shopify, and any
Yep.
transactions will just flow back in and you'll get a notification at the top here.
Yep.
Are you finding the same thing? Are you finding a lot of news agents you're speaking to are wanting that Shopify integration?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's generally something that gets handled after we've gone live and we're settled in the system. So most people wouldn't be doing it on day one of their install. It's, well, hold on, let's get your in bricks and mortar store going, and then it could be 2 weeks after you've gone live that you're ready to start sending data up to your website.
Yeah.
So any news agency that's like brand new, like I've seen someone have a website up and running, sales going through on their website within 3 months. Even less if you really focused on it and you're on top of everything. Um, yeah, it's pretty awesome. I mean, why not make money while you're asleep and the shop's shut?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So let's talk a bit, on the, news agency specific side of things.
Hmm.
You've got a tremendous amount of knowledge on how all of that works. Are you able to speak to us a little bit about that side of things?
Yeah, so the expertise I bring to the conversion process for people is, I start off with bringing over your data as is, and prepping it to go into the system, and then showing you how to go about everything from your daily processes. So from setting up your sub agents, their orders, your customers with their orders, your runs if you do runs as well, arriving in mags, dealing with newspapers, returns, all of that's covered within the training that we provide. Um, Being the bare basics. We also do the lotto integration with XchangeIT as well, so
Yeah.
processing your lotto sales really fast. Um, uh, I also have a fair bit of experience with using Xero, used it in my own shop. I've helped many a business set that up as well, so we can help streamline your accounting process as well.
And again, on that, like another really popular part of the integrations, like
Yeah,
yeah, seems like,
and
and little side note on that, while we integrate with Zero, we do also integrate with MyOb through a
my
third party. So there's that option, but
yeah.
yeah, Zero is absolutely the standout these days in my eyes.
Yeah, recently I've seen a few go to Myob over Zero, but that's just because that's what they prefer. I absolutely prefer Zero just out of using it myself and my
Yeah,
family's business, and it's what I'm comfortable with. But use what you're comfortable with; it works. My job is to make sure that it's set up correct, like the data in retailer is set up correctly, so that it goes off to your accounting software correctly. I'll sit down with you or your accountant and your accountant, explain things in plain English terms for you, explain things in accounting terms for your accountant. We're all happy on the same page about how it's going to work and function. Perfect.
yeah,
It's beautiful. Um,
yeah.
yeah, I don't so
Looking,
much, so much.
look, I guess just further on the news agency specifics, obviously we've got things like, generating returns forms and things like that. There's
Mhm.
the integration. You touched on the integration with the Lotto terminals, but we also integrate with things like ePay for phone recharge and
Yep.
whatnot. FPOS, we integrate with a heap of different options with FPOS, and we don't take any sort of clip on it either.
No,
We just provide the bridge. So all of the big banks, we can integrate with those through Linkly. There's also Tyro, SmartPay, Zeller, and several others that we can pair in with, so that it really tightens up that transaction process. Um,
absolutely.
but I, kind of key to that is we're not just a generic point of sale system. Like all of those news agency specific tools will help a news agency run their business better and also give them a lot of tools to grow it as well. So, when it comes to the magazine side of things and you're tracking returns, that also gives you the ability to see things like sell-through rates and, set up things like early returns, manage your putaways through the system. There's a lot of tools to really drive that side of the business.
Yep, absolutely.
Look, coming back to your process and some of the things you've been part of at Tower, the other really really cool tool, and this is kind of what brought us to do this video. I had a new customer sign up the other day, and you helped them through the install process. They were incredibly complimentary of not only the install process, but also the onboarding videos and the training videos that you've created.
Yeah.
From their perspective, they said they were able to jump onto the website prior to installation and do some research. They watched a lot of those videos, but even during onboarding and after, they could jump in and, look at how to manage resources in the system in their own time. So while you were setting something else up, they jumped in and watched some videos. They, went home at night and they thought, hey, I'll just do a bit of research into this, and they could,
Mm.
yeah, check that sort of stuff out. So, yeah, talk to us a bit about your videos. How many
Oh,
have you done?
there's got to be over 100, I think, there. And I still do some just for certain customers around a single process for them. But these ones that we're looking at here are available to everyone. That particular customer watched a lot of videos beforehand, and that just gets me really excited because I have my, you know, if I was telling someone how to receive stock, I've almost got a script that I just say to everyone, it's this. But this person was skipping ahead and doing things like, "You've watched my video." He's like, "I have." It's like, "Oh my God, I don't need to train you. This is great." But
Autopilot. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, oh wow. So it can really make your life easier. Like here's a set of videos. If you were setting up, say, your newspapers yourself, you've got a way to follow it and do it yourself there. Um, setting up retailer for exchange it. But a part of the install process is I will help you do all of that if you're coming to us.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
there are some things that you only have to do once. So setting up the exchange configuration, you do once, you don't touch it. So you don't necessarily need to know it, but it's there if you want to see how it's done. You could do it yourself, but we are here to help you do that as a part of your onboarding process as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
That's great.
yeah, videos are awesome. We're about to record another one today for a new supplier specific functionality. So there is some supplier specific stuff in the knowledge base there.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, these are all supplier specific. When we talk mags, we're talking Gordon and Gotcha or R Direct. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's all that. Or there you go. You've got GNS there specifically for GNS, and then the one for all the other card suppliers on the right.
Correct. Yeah.
So you
And
could be following those processes, and it's great.
you kind of touched on something else there. Like, a newspaper isn't just a typical product in our system either, because, you look at it. you think, yep, it's just a matter of adding it in, but there's a different variation for each day of the week. Those prices can change.
Yeah,
What day of the week different customers want to get delivered or put away can change. So there's there's actually a lot of configuration that comes just within those products, which speaks
yeah.
to the specificness of it.
That's why we have that specific video there, adding newspaper items. But then there's also, if we go back to the previous page, there's a video just on adding stock items. A stock item versus a newspaper is slightly different. So that's why you've got, it's under number 3 at the top there, Tim.
Yep, you know it better than I do.
Yep, it's the third one in number 3, adding stock items. So there's stock items specific, but then there's also a video just in the news agency section specifically for newspapers because of that difference in structure. And the reason why we do the structure correctly is so that you can link up your putaways properly and only have one button on the screen to sell the right price on the right day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
so generic for everything else and one specific for newspapers because it's so specific to news agencies.
yeah, yeah. Look, that's all brilliant. I'll stop sharing my screen. Yeah. So look, I guess to sort of finish up all of that, yeah. If anyone has any sales inquiries, by all means reach out to us just via sales@towersystems.com.au, and we'd be happy to help. From an installation point of view, we do have several installers, but there's a very good chance you'll get Michael. And look, I guess from my point of view, I think you do a fantastic job. Like I always hear great feedback on the work you've done with installs.
Thank you.
And that history of working in the news agency, of doing so many of these previously, speaks volumes, and it's really helped you refine your craft of getting them on board and making sure people are happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And like the support doesn't just end there. Even though you might be once you've become a customer, you will still get the chance to speak to me through the regular support help. So once you come over to Tower, we've got a support team here to help you get through the process. Many of those people have got experience in news agencies as well.
Yeah,
Some have definitely worked, at least half have worked in them, because they're a very strong industry here in Australia. Um, yeah, we're here to help.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
what we
Couldn't
want to do.
agree more. All right. Anything else you want to add before we wrap this up, Michael?
No, we've covered it all.
No worries. Thanks for your time. And yeah, like I said, anyone watching, if you want to reach out, sales@towersystems.com.au, or check out our website. There's heaps of content there. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.